control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. You're every. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
To you, listen on the world. This is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, 'cause women rule the world.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Energy. Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for tuning in, taking the time to spend it with us at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As one radio.com, he is the official theme music of Spaced Out Radio. Hey, if you want to follow us on social media, we'd really appreciate that. Give us a like on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Follow us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And, of course, our website. I thought we were going to be able to launch the new site today. It's looking like Monday at the latest. spacedoutradio.com. is going to be the place to go. At this time, as we do every night, we welcome in those listening in on the SHR Media Network, out in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans at Spaced Out Radio's official chat room on Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers, Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, as well as Forced Moon Paranormal. If you're a fan of Spaced Out Radio, coming with our new look website is the Space Travelers membership, where for only $5 a month, just $5, you're going to be able to win prizes, take part in private group interviews, monthly newsletters, so much more. Hey, we're going to give you a heck of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. PurplePlates.com, help heal your body, mind, and soul. The new Agora newspaper is the official paper of this. Check out all his United States community. She is a contactee and has worked with other contactees about their experiences. She is also into DNA activations, as well as an investigator of implants. For tonight, we're actually going to sit back and learn about what the First Nations know about the cryptids roaming around. From Bigfoot in the mountains and forests to their connection with extraterrestrials and the legends and stories that have been passed down for generations. It's a forgotten history with today's 24-hour society. It's a different look at the subject of contact. It's a topic that needs to be addressed from the history of North America's only ancestors. We bring in Ms. Thunderbeat now to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It's such a pleasure to have you on the air with us. I'm very excited because in Canada, where I live, I've always lived in communities that are quite surrounded by First Nations. And I've always felt as a white person, not that I'm trying to bring racial overtones into this, but we never quite get the full history and background of what was actually going on before the settlers came over. So I'm very excited to have you. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Dave. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure, and all American Indians with DNA activation. It's really an incredible thing.
Well, the Native Americans are very in tune with Mother Earth, and a lot of them I have met that with different tribes say they are Earth keepers. So they are connect with the elements extremely well. They can know what animals are saying, like animals speak. I've actually had encounters where I've heard animals speak in English, actual English, like the birds. It was one morning I woke up because I asked, when you ask, you shall receive. And I asked, I said, I'm wondering what the animals are saying. And one morning I woke up and the birds were speaking and they were going, there's nothing over there. I already checked it out. There's nothing over there. And they were all in the group talking about looking for food. And then my dog, Sheba, she's real powerful. I call her Thunder Dog. I was asking one day what she is saying in the backyard when she's barking. There's nothing back there that I could see except for the birds. And she, then it was like 3 days later, I woke up and I could hear her speaking in English. And she was saying, get out of the yard now, go. I've already told you to stay out of the yard. So you can actually, we can tune in and actually hear the animals speak and the nature and for instance,
extraterrestrials with
the elements and the. Now, scientifically, I don't know how you prove that, but I mean, you just pay attention. It's not complicated.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what is happening with the fact that we do not have enough going on with nature, with what is going on with the being in tune or not in tune with our surroundings. In the end, that's really what we need to be doing, is being in touch with our surroundings, isn't it? We have to be a little bit more open, and that's not just your eyes and ears and your five senses, but it's the senses all around it as well.
Yeah, and plus, they keep us busy working, making a living and living in cities, so it's hard to really be in touch with nature when you're living in larger cities. And then just paying attention. Like I can talk about the cloud people. I mean, there's messages in the clouds all the time. There's symbols, there's faces, there's actual beings that are creating energy for the earth.
Mm-hmm. When you started all of this, how did it start for you? Was it learning the traditions and the legends and stories from your elders, going to sweatshops, playing the drums, and learning the history of the communication with Mother Earth and the star people above? Or was it personal experiences that brought you to this point that you just had to learn what has been happening throughout your life?
It was pretty much a shaman friend of mine that I met that we just sat down and talked about everything. Everything just came out, like about the earth changes. My friends, actually, he's was raised by wolves, believe it or not. This man that just taught me all these things about the faces in the rocks, faces in the clouds, and the symbols and what they mean. And that was in the 80s. And my tribe, the Choctaw, was really dissembled. They burned all the records of the Choctaw tribe. I mean, there's just very, very few left. You don't even really hear about the Choctaw tribe that much. You hear about them. They're really from Mississippi, Louisiana. That's where my mother's from. She's, full-blood Native American. And they kind of shipped them to Oklahoma and, scattered them out. But trying to find any records I did for decades, it's very hard. They like I said, they burned them, and they put the children in schools and said, do not speak your language. So a lot of the history is lost, but I have been blessed with certain teachers in my life, that were just totally incredible. I could feel their energy. I've been very psychic all my life anyway. So to answer that question, it's kind of yes, but not understanding it completely. But for example, like at 8 years old, my father was very fascinated with Native American. He wasn't Native American. He was Italian, by the way. But he would always draw Native American chiefs with the full headdresses while he was doodling on the phone. And one day I looked at him. I was 8 years old, and I said, me and my father were in a past life together. And now, how do I know that at 8 years old? No one talks about past lives when at that age, and especially that time, during that time period. But I said, oh my God, he was the chief and I was his son. I actually knew that kind of detail, but I didn't find out really to confirm that until like 20 years later, where I met this powerful woman that did past life readings. And I asked her, was me and my father in a past life together? I never told her or said anything about being Native American at all. She immediately said, you were both Native American, and your father was your son, and I was the chief. And I'm like, oh, I had it, but I had it backwards. And it was amazing what she told me. But she told me that about my father, his name was Running Deer, and why they called him Running Deer was because he was running away in the woods when they were teaching tradition. so he could never be a chief. They never allowed him to be a chief, and he wanted to be a chief so bad. And I said, no, you're not allowed to be a chief. You have to learn tradition to be a chief. So to put it all together, this lifetime, he was still drawing chiefs, wanting to be a chief. In this lifetime, he had his own company, and he made everyone call him chief. I thought that was pretty funny. And then I asked her what my name was, and she said my name was Chief Thunderbeat. And rivers of tears rolled down my face, and I said, do you know I played drums in this lifetime? And she said, yes, you are carrying your medicine over, meaning, from a past life. I'm carrying this knowledge over for the world, for that to help. And what my powers were, and they still are to this day, I've actually done this, where I could put my hand up and rolling thunder would happen with the elements. When there's like, there's clouds in the sky and there wouldn't be any thunder, but I could put my hand up and rolling thunder would happen. And she said I was connected with the elements. I could actually, that's what they called me Thunderbeat, because I had the rhythm and the timing with the elements. That's what she said. And it was amazing that once I knew that and remembered that and focused on that in this lifetime, I could actually do that. But if you're not trained or taught, or people say, oh, that's a bunch of crap, you're not going to believe it, and it's not going to happen. So you block yourself if you don't believe.
I have a question from Galen in the SOR Space Travelers room on Facebook for you, Thunderbeat.
Yes?
Do you start to remember memories from another lifetime? How do you do it?
Wow, this could be many ways. Usually for me, I'm in a place, and like, let's say I'm traveling, I go, God, that looks so familiar. Why does that look so familiar? And dwelling on that and meditating on that, and it could take years sometimes, but, putting pieces of the puzzle together. But there's people that do Akashic record readings that really help me, and actually hypnosis, past life readings, hypnosis therapy kind of thing, taking you under. And when you go and do some of these sessions, you got to find somebody you can trust that's really real, because you never know out there too. But when you go into these sessions, you actually, or I should speak for myself, I actually see the visions, and actually you feel like you were right there at that moment. So I would highly suggest, actually, a lady I really highly suggest, her name is Lisa Barnett. She does Akashic Records readings, and she's amazing. Found out about some of my Mayan past lifetimes and my Egyptian lifetimes. That was just profound, and it just put all kinds of information together for me of why I am so attracted and why I connect with certain things in this lifetime, and certain knowledges I have that I don't know why I know this, but I just know this, and it's from your past lives. You bring that over. And why we forget is because we're down in a lower frequency planet, and that is, so your memory gets a little erased, actually a lot erased. And then they start programming you, let's say, in Western medicine or Western culture, at starting at 3 years old, or when you're 1. So not to believe any of these things, and so you start shutting down and your past life knowledge. Like I teach workshops, chakra workshops, and I talk about that in my workshops. You ask your child at 3 years old, where were you before you met mommy and daddy? And I almost guarantee 90% of the time they will tell you. But anytime after that, like 4 or 5, you start losing your memory. You know, the children start losing their memory. But if they're not asked that question, they don't think about it, you know?
Absolutely, they don't. Absolutely. Do you focus on learning what you've learned today? Is everything tied into the First Nations background, or do you use a lot of modern New Age type medicines as well that you are learning as people start to open up spiritually and move forward in learning different types of healing and enlightenment?
Well, it's a combination of. Like, I'm a natural herbalist, and that was kind of like a past life knowledge that I brought over. Like I said, a lot of the heritage that I had was you know, they canceled it out. They you know, got rid of it. And there's even, like, I know a lot of the shamans on the Hopi reservation here, which is one of the oldest tribes surviving in the United States, and they even forgot a lot of their history because of being programmed to, you know, be into this world of what's going on now. So a lot of the cultures of the Native American First Nations, or what you call them, have forgot a lot of their history, you know. So you have to go back and I tune in a lot. I tune in, which is, you know, asking Great Spirit for knowledge. If I want to know some information, I call it direct connect. So I direct connect with Great Spirit, and I usually get downloaded the information.
We got about 5 minutes here before we have to go to break, and I would like to start by saying, how do you intermix your music that you have created with your spirituality? Do you find the two really tie together, Thunderbeat, in regards to your creativity or the sounds that you hear, and then you have to put them towards an instrument?
Absolutely. It's totally like what I do when I went solo in the year 2000, 1999, 2000. I have spirit guides, and I was actually playing with rock bands for 27 years, full drum set. And I was getting very disappointed with the whole scene of the rock and roll scene and people's egos, and I really was totally into the spirituality, and I was even with a band that was saying they were spiritual, but they really weren't. They were not walking their talk. So I was praying to Great Spirit. I said, oh my God, I am so tired of this, but I still love my music, you know? And the voice comes in and says, go solo now. And I actually argued with Spirit and said, wait a minute, how does a drummer go solo? You know, I mean, I've never heard of that. And so I play a little bit of keyboards, and I actually said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I bought a keyboard, I bought a recording studio, I have engineering classes, and I went to college for that, and started writing, and the minute I started writing a solo music, it was totally different. What came through me was very etheric, some was very tribal. I mean, it was everything was so different. I was just tuning in to the higher realms, and it was coming. I felt like it was coming through me. And a lot of times, what I do is I would go to a sacred site like the Mayan lands, and I'd come home, and immediately I would write a CD because I have the energy. And I ask, when I walk through the sacred sites, I ask for the ancient knowledge and the ancient music, and I get downloaded a lot of information. They've played me like in spirit form, etheric form is the best way I can describe it. They play me songs, or they play me, I call it activational tones, and all kinds of sounds come through when I ask. So then I go home and write the CD. Like I went to Egypt twice. I wrote 2 different CDs. Each time came back, I wrote a CD, and they've all won major awards, which is amazing, you know.
That is awesome, and it's something that you can just continue doing because, let's face it, music heals. Music binds people together. It can help clear the chakras. It can help connect to that other world. It really is a universal language, isn't it?
Absolutely. Universal language, absolutely. And that's why I do mostly everything instrumental, so words don't get in the way. I do some chanting, some spoken word here and there, but I really let the music, you know, absorb into your soul and take you away. So,
and that's what it's supposed to be, though. It's supposed to be able to take you away. It doesn't matter whether it's the music you are creating, whether it's rock and roll, classic rock, you know, new age music like hip hop. As long as you can find that zen and that chi in the music that calms you down or relaxes your nerves or just really hits that spot where you're able to ground yourself. That's what music is about. It's about healing, and music can heal.
And awakening, actually awakening too. You know, there's a lot of, with my Mayan CD, I had that out many years, and which I still have out, of course, but people said, oh my God, it triggered my past lives. There's when I went to the Mayan lands, the spirits told me, how can I explain it? They played me these tones, and it sounded almost like a didgeridoo, but a higher pitch. And they said, these are the galactic activational tones. So I put them on the CD.
Thunderbeat, we're going to get you to hold on here. We're going to take a break at the bottom of the hour. Our guest tonight is Devara Thunderbeat. We are talking about DNA activation, music, extraterrestrial contact, and how it ties into the First Nation/American Indian community. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back after our first break.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night. Live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? You wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're having a little bit of audio problems, as a few of you were having at the top of the show, I just checked outside. There is a real big storm happening here, and when we're online in the middle of the boonies like we broadcast this show, it may affect the feed a little bit. So just be patient with us. Everything is starting to sound good. The storm is kind of dying off. The rain has actually stopped. So hopefully it will pass over and we can continue on without any boo-boos or errors from Mother Nature. So thank you so much. If you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, we appreciate your time, as well as if you are tuned in on the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker and on Facebook at our flagship SOR Space Travelers, Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, or Forest Moon Paranormal. We appreciate you taking the time out with us tonight. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. Subscribe to that to hear our archives. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. The website will have a new look. I was hoping to get it launched today, but it's looking like Monday will be the official day of the new look website, so space travelers, get excited. It's right around the corner. Tonight we are talking with Devara Thunderbeat. Her website, thunderbeat.com, you can hear her music. We can talk about DNA activation, extraterrestrial contact, from a First Nation/American Indian standpoint. And we bring Thunderbeat back in right now. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
No, thank you, Dave.
Now, I want to let you people know how I found you, because during this show, when we're sitting around trying to figure out topics, I was doing some Googling around Dulce, saw that around the Dulce area there was a UFO conference coming on, that you were one of the speakers at this conference. Was that your first time around the Dulce area, or had you been there in the past? And is it as freaky and as ominous of energy as they say in that area?
Well, it was my first time there. I was invited to speak and perform, and actually do healings. I'm friends with the Apache Nation, and they were telling me about the UFO conference they were putting on, and they came out to Sedona, and I brought them out to one of the vortexes here in Sedona, which is a portal, Stargate, to do a ceremony for the blessing of Mother Earth. So we all connected really, really well, and so I ended up going to Dulce for their conference, and it's such a small town. I had no idea. It's very, very tiny. I think the population is maybe 500 people. That's how small it is, and they talk about the mountain and the underground bases there, and I didn't really, I've heard a lot of negative things going on there for the underground bases, and I really didn't want to tune into that because I really focus on the positive and keep the positive energy up, because there's so much negativity on this planet that's all they dwell upon, that I'm tired of that. I'm tired of the doom and gloom. And I know that I already know about a lot of that stuff that goes on. I know the information. It's not that I'm blinded of it. It's just that I don't dwell on it and feed it any energy.
I can understand that, because you have to remain positive. You have to remain, calm and stay within what you are comfortable with. Could you feel that negativity, though, and did you have to push it away from the area, or were you in a spot where you felt protected?
Well, I felt protected, but I did feel like it was very heavy energy, so it made you tired. It was like exhausting, actually, after being there about 4 or 5 hours, and I had to, do a mindset to get myself out of that. And the natives have told me that they're always tired and very kind of depressed. And I actually did a clearing on the land before I went there. I can do long-distance clearings. And they said, that was about a week before, and they said they did tell me that, wow, it was a whole shift happened. And I said, yeah, well, before I come, I'm going to have to go into that energy. It's pretty daring to go into that energy. I would, because I do know some things about that, but it's, they were telling me that it's not as active as it used to be, what things they were doing, I guess, the underground bases and, things like that. I would suggest for people who want to know about the underground bases, they can probably Google it, because there's a lot of information out there about it.
It is a scary place, and I don't know if we know 1/10 of actually what is going on there, and it is my goal one of these days to try and get somebody from the area on this show to tell us what truly is going on, because we hear everything from weird cryptids that we have no explanation for, to Bigfoot, to the underground ET bases, to skinwalkers and everything in between. Like, it's not a happy place, if that's what we could call it, no pun intended.
Yeah. Well, how can I explain, when I put myself into like a negative zone, I totally, surround myself with protection and go in there brave. You got to go in there really brave and not let that affect you. And don't put fear into there, because the negative side feeds on fear. And that's actually like their food. They love it. They love the fear. It gives them energy, and like I said, it's like their food. And so I didn't go there at all. There was another speaker that kind of went there, but I just and actually people walked out of her talk. I'm not going to mention any names, but people are getting it. They're waking up, and definitely, they're asking me for help. The tribe was asking me for help for, because that's their land. It's their land, and it's these underground bases are there that are on the major mountain. But what can I tell you? I mean, I really don't want to dwell on that, so.
No kidding. I don't blame you. Let's get to some questions from our audience here. For a moment. We're going to start off with Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. And it's about your music and music in general. You deal with extraterrestrials. I don't know how often yet. We'll get into that. But when it comes to music, is music extraterrestrial friendly? And if so, what do you think they enjoy?
Well, let me put it this way. They have given me music that is not on this planet. And actually, I have, let me think, I've lost count. I think I have 7 solo CDs out now, internationally. And they're all very different. There was a record company that wanted to sign me, and they told me that, since I do everything different, you'd have to go by different names because your genre changes. I said, no, this is what I do. I tap into different, ancient sacred sites. I tap into the etheric realms. This is what I do, and this is who I am. I am not. So I went solo. I'm an indie artist because of it. I was signed at 19 years old on A&M Records. And I was in, like I said, rock bands for 27 years and doing that whole corporate thing. And I won't do that again, ever. There's no freedom in it. But one CD that I have that I wrote is called Cosmic Dream. And when I finished it, it took me a longer time than normal to finish it because every time I was mixing it in my recording studio, I was out of my body. And I'm like, okay, I know this is working. It's really bringing me up to, the astral plane and actually the ethers and even higher than that. I go, I have to get this done for the planet. And as soon as I finished it, my star family came in and was in. They were so grateful, and they were so surprised that I actually manifested it on the planet Earth. And I said, why? They said, because they reminded me that I wrote this before I even got here, and that I manifested it. What they were shocked about was that I actually brought these higher dimensional realms of sound down on the planet Earth on a lower density plane that hasn't been done before. So that blew me away too.
I think it would as well. I mean, when you sit there and you are taking notes from those star beings above, and they're pointing you in that direction, I mean, that's weird. I mean, that's hard to fathom for even some of the top name musicians out there, let alone someone such as yourself who is carving an indie career.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What they said that what was amazing to me was that they said, I already wrote that before I even got to the planet Earth. I wrote it when I was up in my home planet, they said, is Sirius. And they said that I wrote it there. And then I brought it, when I came down here physically, through the physical form, that I actually manifested it here. And that's what they were very, surprised and shocked about, because they said they didn't know that could even be possible.
I have a question from Eric in the SOR Space Travelers. We're hearing a lot about RH factor blood. What is your perspective about this?
I'm not familiar with that. I know I've heard a little bit about that. That's part of, actually, it's a bloodline, and it's part of actually bloodline and DNA, kind of go hand in hand. But I know that I think there's a friend of mine, she is actually half ET and half human. Her father was in the military, and they actually, it's best that she tells the story, but I think that she has the RH blood.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not fully convinced about that, and the whole theory that, that extraterrestrials are attracted to the RH blood or anything like that. I'm O negative. I have contact. I don't think I have the RH factor in there. I think it's one of those theories that we're playing up a little too much. Others may disagree with me on that one, but, and all the people I have asked, it seems like it's still quite unfamiliar territory with a lot of investigators, including yourself. Question from SJ here in the SOR Space Travelers with you. What is your take, Thunderbeat, on shape-shifting? Because she has experienced it before.
Interesting. You can shapeshift. Anybody can shapeshift, and I've seen people shapeshift right in front of me, turn into, kind of, how to explain it. it's not like an instant. It's like it slowly goes into a whole different dimension. And they have many parts, multidimensional beings that are with them, or are they're bringing out their multidimensional self. So, there could be positive, it could be negative. Reasons why they do. People can do that, or I've actually been able to turn invisible without just wanting to be not seen, and did never realize I did it until a friend of mine told me that was with me. They said, "You were right there, and then you turned invisible. Where'd you go?" I said, "What?" So your mind can control and do many more things than people even realize. It's thoughts or things. So just be careful of what you wish for.
I want to get into your ET contact, because the last couple of nights on this show we have talked with Grant Cameron from presidentialufo.com and Steve Bassett.
Oh.
Both of them are really leaders in the whole disclosure movement that will be going on.
I know
here.
Steve. I know Steve. He's been at my house. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
So.
He was on last night, actually. And he's a good friend of this show as well. And I told him anytime he comes to Vancouver, drinks are on me, because he's just that type of guy. And one of the things that we've been talking about in regards to extraterrestrials lately is who's going to disclose. Is the planet ready for disclosure? As someone who has had ET contact since childhood, and we're going to get into that, do you think the public and what you see is ready for ET disclosure?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They've been ready, and it's the government military does not want it. That's why they keep making these excuses up. Oh, it's going to change this, it's going to change religion, beliefs, and that's a bunch of crap. The Pope, the Vatican has a observatory called Lucifer down in Tucson, Arizona, which is only like 4 hours from my house, that is looking for ETs, and there is stories that if you look on some history of the Vatican, they've been in contact with them for decades, or even maybe a century. So they know about them, and they've actually mentioned that there are brothers and sisters, that the Star family is our brothers and sisters. This is the Vatican, the Pope. Okay, so it's nothing about religion. It's about wanting control of the masses, not wanting them to let them know. So it's all a bunch of look at all the sci-fi movies that people love. Come on, I mean they're totally ready.
True, but there's also an element of fear that comes out of it. Look at what Hollywood is doing with Independence Day Part 2 coming out. Once again, the bad old aliens are going to come down, and we're going to have to beat the living crap out of them once again to save our planet. And Hollywood is famous for that, in making ETs look bad for the most part.
Well, Hollywood is the dark side. That's going to be, I'm going to just tell you. So they are putting everybody in fear of the ETs, and there's so many loving ETs, and the higher dimensional realms of ETs, it's impossible to be negative. I mean, the dark ones can be very powerful too, in their own way, but they just still they want to keep control of the masses, and they want to keep control of everything. So that's why they're doing that, and putting people in fear, and fear lowers everyone's vibration, so they can't think of, love and happiness, and you know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, in the end, though, I'm still not convinced 100% out of everybody I've talked to, and I seem to be in the minority here, of thinking that people are 100% ready for disclosure. We bring up the religious aspect. I think that there are a lot of wingnuts out there who will, We've seen it before with other religious sects where they've committed suicide because they thought, there was UFOs tailing Hale-Bopp back in the day. Or we've seen mass suicides of religious sects, and we see what the Muslim population is doing to their own people in the Middle East. And when you throw something as advanced as extraterrestrials in there, this may cause grave concern, because in whether you're reading the Bible or the Quran, it does say anything that comes down from the skies is demonic or devil-related. And, so we got a bunch of Beelzebubs coming down to rain havoc on us, rather than realizing that these may be beings from God or gods or higher sources, whatever you want to call it, that are coming down to help us expand our horizons and our lives. So I'm just not sure that the public is ready for the truth of disclosure just yet.
Well, the disclosure has to be done in a correct way, of a positive manner, and I'm not sure if the people in charge are willing to do that. That's what I'm saying. So to do it, in a loving, benevolent way instead of, the negative. But Hale-Bopp, that's an interesting subject too, because when I was living in Florida at that time, and I would look up in the sky every night, and I would see, I thought it was a plane. I'm going, when is that plane going to land? It's been there for 2 days, or 2 evenings, and there was, I thought it was a plane because it looked like 2 bright lights. So it was then I realized the third day, it was Hale-Bopp, what they were talking about, and there was a ship behind it following it. So that is the true story, that those people that they committed suicide to go on the ship, that there was a ship following Hale-Bopp, pulling it into the planet, and they were ready to go. So, there's more things going on than people realize. I don't know why they wanted to leave, but, that was their choice, so.
No, absolutely. And you deal with your own experiences that I believe you mentioned started at childhood. What's your earliest experience with extraterrestrials that you recall?
4 years old. It started, I was playing in the driveway. I'm from upstate New York by the Canadian border. By you, almost,
Well, about 3,000 miles away, but close enough.
But it was still by the Canadian border. And I was playing in the driveway, broad daylight, and this cloud came over, and it pulled me up, and it was a ship. I call them ships. And as I was being pulled up, I saw steam around this cloud. So it was a ship cloaked in a cloud. And I saw 3 bars of light: red, yellow, and blue. 3 primary colors. And I was going in between those colors. Right in the middle was a circle. And as I was being pulled up, my mother ran out of the house, and she was trying to catch me, and they pulled her up too at the same time. That was my first experience. And then they've been in contact with us ever since, me and my mother. Not my father, but just me and my mother. So, but I remember so I didn't remember everything at that time at 4 years old. I had to have some regressions with Dolores Cannon. I met her many, many years. I knew her for actually 15 years. She is a pioneer in past life hypnotherapy sessions. She's an incredible lady. She passed on just a couple years ago. And actually, she passed on my birthday, which was amazing. I was like, I felt like she was like my other mother. She was just a beautiful lady. Anyway, when I had my first session with her, we went through that situation, and what they did was they put me on a silver table. I'm very into color because colors are knowledge, and colors are have a lot of knowledge and information, each color of everything. But they put me on a silver table, and they rolled me by these doorways. They're arched doorways, and each room was filled with a different color, like purple. One was green. One was blue. And they brought me into a room, and they shined golden light on me. And they said, "Your name is Flying Eagle with many wings." And I didn't know what that meant, for a couple years until I met a beautiful shaman, and I told him that from the Shawnee tribe, and he goes, "Well, what do you think we get our names from? The Star family, the Star people. That's who gives us our names." So that was just pretty amazing right there for me. Like I said, they called me Flying Eagle with many wings, which means that I have traveled. They told me I have traveled to many, many different star systems in the past.
That's very interesting indeed. And we're going to tackle more of that when we come back. We've got some more questions coming from our audience as well. Devara Thunderbeat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Her website, thunderbeat.com. You can learn more about her music, her Reiki healings, her extraterrestrial contact, her everything when it comes to her First Nations, Native American history. Smart woman we have on the air with us tonight, and we're just getting started. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2 coming up right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners, and the live listeners usually get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio SOR Space Travelers. We are the official chat room of this show, along with Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and the SHR Media Network. Good to have you all along with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, it's the SOR Roundtable. We do it the final Friday of every month. We bring in the cast and crew to hang out, chat away on some topics that are cold to them. Only I know the questions. It's a lot of fun. So I hope you join us. Audience participation is needed in that one as well. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. That's where we put our archives. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with Devara Thunderbeat, her website, thunderbeat.com. We're going to get into one of her songs right now. It's called Pleiades. And this is just a sample for you, our listeners, of what we are talking about music. And trust me, this is going to just sink right into you. So we're going to play it now. Right, so that was Pleiades by Thunderbeat. I found that very intoxicating and relaxing at the same time. A lot of your songs have to deal with star people, star beings. Is that where you get your muse from for your music?
Yeah, like I was saying before, on the Pleiades song is basically how I did a whole CD. It was like I was tuned into each star system, and to explain it better, it's like you go into a deep meditation, and I actually tune into the energy of the planets actually, and you know, I can hear it. I can hear the music, and I record it. That's actually on keyboards. You know, the whole CD is on keyboards, but I have a you know, different sounds from like all over the world kind of thing on my keyboard. That's like over 2,000 different sounds. I had to have that as a sound healer to find the sounds that I'm hearing, you know, to be able to write that kind of music.
When you started getting into the ET side of things, were you surprised at how spiritual or spiritually connected you became with your other self? Because I have heard a lot of people, including Samantha Mowat, who has been on this show, who says that her interaction has been very spiritually uplifting for her. Was that the same for you?
Oh, absolutely. It's more spiritually inclined to be able to connect to the higher dimensional ETs. Their frequencies are so high that when you're with them, it's just love. It's pure love and actually laughter. It's happy. It's not heavy. It's not depressing. It's not scary. It is so beautifully love. Love is the best way I can describe it. You know, yes.
A lot of people out there have had negative ET experiences. Yours seems to be very positive. And from what I have studied on this show, that it really seems to be something to do with the United States. And I'm not saying the United States in general, but we've talked quite a bit on this show about how it seems the more superpowers, whether it's the United States, Great Britain, if you look at the Rendlesham case, Russia had their own Roswell case, China has had weird interaction with extraterrestrials from what they have let out. Do you believe that you are a minority in the United States, that your extraterrestrial contact has been of positivity because so many people around your country are having such negative experiences?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the ET experiences people are experiencing, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are because of their fear. I was never in fear when I had contact. I was just very fascinated more. My attitude was not fear at all. So, but you know, when you're being contacted and you don't know what's going on, I mean, with some people, of course, they're going to be afraid of what they don't know, you know. And if you look at the Betty and Barney case, that eventually they both said that it wasn't a fearful situation at all. It was because of their fear, because they didn't know what was going on. So I think a good percentage is that, but then there is the negative ETs. They're like people. There's positive and negative ones, and the negative ones, you know, their intentions are not good, and you know, I don't know their intentions. You know what they really want to do, except for the hybrid program, which is there's a positive and a negative one of that too. But the positive thing about that, the hybrid program, which means they're taking your DNA and your sperm and your ovaries and, you know, making ET babies, is you know, because they want to live. Basically, this has not been said. They want to live down here on this dimension too. So they're cloning, our and their DNA together, so they can actually survive on this atmospheric realm, because it's a very denser place, and they all want to come here because it's a beautiful, beautiful planet. If you look at the other planets, they're very desolate, and so they want to, be able to bring in the combination of, their DNA and our DNA together. So does that make sense?
It does to me, but it still doesn't take the fear out of the subject for a lot of people, because we don't know what the true meaning of the abduction is. We don't know why they are doing it, if they are benevolent or malevolent. I guess more so on the benevolent side. Why do they need to kidnap us from our bedrooms? Why do they need to take us and not allow us to remember?
Well, a lot of it is that people have. See, our memories are erased when we come down here, and a lot of it we have agreed upon. A lot of it, when the repeat happens, a lot of it is agreed upon by that person. They just didn't remember. And then there's the ones, I'm going to say the military. The military, they are, they just take anybody they want or whoever they want to focus on. So that's without, going against free will. But a lot of them are more than you think. They have agreed upon this plan. I don't like to say program. That's a really negative word to me. But the plan is, when you get down there, check it out. Tell me what you think. When an ET is in contact with you, they can absorb all your knowledge and memory of what you've experienced. So they're learning from us.
I understand that, but you think there would be a little bit more of a polite way of doing it, like maybe knock on the door.
It's like, or call you up.
Exactly.
ET phone home.
And I don't mean that to be sarcastic either, but, the one thing that a lot of experiencers, and I'm going to tell you, my own personal experiences so far have been positive. Okay? And I think I'm fortunate. I think a lot of people who have positive experiences are fortunate, but it's like news. If it bleeds, it leads. Same thing with extraterrestrials. The first thing you bring up with extraterrestrial contact, you were anal probed. You had, you had needles shoved into your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because people learn that from movies. They learn that from listening to experiences like Whitley Strieber's In Communion, which is the only book I have never finished. And, they have this common fear of hearing the kidnapping stories, hearing the stories of rape, hearing the stories of, women getting impregnated only to find out that there's no fetus on an ultrasound. Weird things like that. And it scares the population. And that ties into what I said last half hour with you. Are we really sure that the public is ready for disclosure on this topic? Because I still think a lot of people are scared about it.
Yeah, that's true because of what we've been programmed and what we've been hearing. They put all fear. It's all fear. All the stories are fear, right? What positive story have you heard that is true? It's sad, but that is the control factor of, I'm going to say the dark side does not want the benevolent ETs to come over and take over the planet, and so they're reversing the osmosis, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? They're just because they're in fear. They're in fear of being taken out of. They want to keep control of everything. So there is a lot of positive stories that are starting to come out. And I'm hoping, maybe you're right, that people are in fear. What kind of people? How do they believe that they're good ones or bad ones?
You've talked with a lot of people who have had contact. In your conversations with them over the years, do you find that there is more positive contact or negative contact going on?
Both, actually, more positive than negative, though. And the about 25% that are negative, I have asked them the certain questions to help them put the puzzle together, and it's always their father or their parents are in the military. And those are the negative ones.
So what about people who are having the negative experience who don't have any connection to the military or current connection?
I don't know about them. I've never experienced anybody like that, but I mean, I'm hearing more positive, but it's just not coming out into the public. It's not on the mainstream.
Right.
They're more positive. Yeah, it's just not in the mainstream. Because the mainstream media is run by the cabal. So.
Mm-hmm. SJ has a question in the SOR Space Travelers room. She is asking, sometimes I have heard what sounds like thousands of voices singing at once. Is it possible that this is a sound download from the universe or the extraterrestrials?
Absolutely. There's interdimensional beings called the Hathors, and they sound like hundreds of voices. I'm not sure about thousands, but they sound like ah, and there's like hundreds of voices singing at the same time, and it's very beautiful. And the Hathors are mentioned in Egypt, ancient Egypt, and I experienced them when I was in Egypt in one of the courtyards of Karnak. Karnak is a place where the high priests used to do their meditations and prayers and healings. And Spirit guided me and said to go into the courtyard, and as soon as I went in the middle of the courtyard, which was, now in Egypt, there's like tourists everywhere. So they told me to go into this courtyard, and that not a soul was in there, and this place is huge. And I'm going, where is everybody? This is like a trip. This is like no one's here. So I just announced, they told me to go into the courtyard, so I listened to my spirit guides, and I'm in the middle of the courtyard, and all of a sudden, layers of voices started singing. Ah! Actually, I have them on my Egyptian CD. And then this ancient pharaoh, came in and said, "In the court of the Crimson King," and the voices started singing again. Ah! And they were just beautiful. So any sounds that that she's hearing is if it feels positive is actually an activation or a introduction to something.
Mm-hmm. Robert Rose has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. Why do extraterrestrials need tracking devices if they found us in the first place, especially that we agreed to the experiments beforehand?
What do you mean tracking? You mean implants?
Implants, yes.
Their implants are for sending and receiving information. Of course, there's positive and negative ones, but now if you're agreed to this program, or the situation with your star family, you have implants. I have 7 implants, and each one has a different purpose, and it's for sending information from them and receiving information from us to them, so they can instantly do that. And I hope it answers Robert's question.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. If we agreed to it, it would not be an abduction. How do you, right, Thunderbeat, know there's an agreement in place?
correct. I never use the word abduction. It's to me, a very negative contact. My star family's here to connect again. I get very excited. So, what was the last half of the question? I'm sorry.
How do you know that there's an agreement in place for that to happen?
The many contacts that I had, that they were the same. They were the same beings, there was many different beings. But when I asked, and they actually, when I said, okay, well, where are you from? Who are you? And why is this going on? And when I asked, they actually took me up into a ship and brought me to the planet and showed me and helped me remember. Helped me remember who this is, my family. And everyone was excited to see me. There were beautiful, loving beings. There were pink beings. There was no grays. I never met one gray in the planet or the ship. I have met golden ones. They were just like the golden beings that Buddha talks about becoming the golden one. They were shining with this beautiful golden light. There were there were different species on the planet Sirius. This is where they said I'm from. And there were bird tribes. There was actually people with feathers. Actually, I sent Dave some pictures of some of the beings I have seen. I don't know if you put them on Facebook or not on the Facebook, but I met beings with triangle heads that were purple, and I met different kinds of beings, and they were all full of love, and they reminded me my mission.
Eric has a question in the SOR Space Travelers room. Devara, what do you think about the possibility there isn't a contract between species, which is why we haven't been taken over and the government has no control over that?
I don't understand the question.
Well, apparently there is a contract that keeps us safe, okay, from extraterrestrial species with governments around the world here in order to say, hey, you stay up there, we'll come down here, or we'll stay down here and we'll be peaceful. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of people who feel that, E.T. could come in and invade and, have us for dinner at any time, but that hasn't happened yet. They seem to be respecting the law of the land in regards to that. So I guess the question is, how do we know that there is or is there a possibility that maybe there isn't a contract? And
that's what confused me with the contract. Word contract confused me. Okay, so this is our whole solar system is a free will zone, which means it's very karmic related. So the higher dimensional beings, which are the benevolent, loving beings, know not to intrude, and it's a free will zone. So whatever they do will come back to them if they do something negative, and same with us. Just down here, when we do something negative, it comes back to us, whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is. It's kind of like a bounce reaction. So they know not to interfere with your free will, and so that's why they'll never do that. And they want actually us to. They want to help us wake up, but they can't force anything. They help us in different ways, and it's up to you to be able to wake up and see the higher light and the higher dimensions and the higher frequencies. They can't do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. But that's why they will not come and invade. And if anybody does come and invade, they're the dark side. They don't care. They just don't care about the free will. Oh, nothing's going to affect me, which it does. But they just don't, I guess, concern themselves about it as much,
We have about 2 minutes left before we're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. How many species of extraterrestrials have you been in contact with?
Oh, I've never counted. I would say at the top of my head, maybe about 7 different ones.
Well, I'm only at 3. I'm a little jealous
That's
right
good.
now. I'm only at 3.
No,
I'm a little jealous.
3's good. 3's good.
You know what? We have a couple people who make monthly appearances on this show. Samantha Mowat has had over 20 different experiences, or experiences with over 20 different species. And Keith Andrews, who's come in, he has, I think his last count, he was between 30 and 35. And when you hear, and let's talk about the critics for a second. The critics will look at this topic and they will say nobody has been involved with 7 or 3 or 20 or 35. You know, what is your response to people who are skeptical
narrow-minded
like that? Yeah,
I call it narrow-minded. I mean, we're billions and billions of stars and billions of suns. How can you not have billions and billions, or the hundreds of thousands of species? I mean, I think even they talk about like there's 100 different species that come to visit this planet. I mean, that's just very narrow-minded. I mean, I spoke at MUFON and in Sedona, and they were very open. And then MUFON in Phoenix wanted me to talk, and they said, well, you can't be talking these certain words like star family and different species. I'm like, well, why should I even talk then? This is the knowledge I have, and it was just very surprising to me that they were kind of narrow-minded too. But that's just the way it is.
It's almost like they want to make it politically correct.
Yeah, or something. I don't even know. That's what does that even mean? Politically, what does that even mean? I mean, what? Just one kind of gray?
I guess so.
You know what I mean?
I guess so. But on the flip side, and we got to go to break here, and we can talk about this after the break. On the flip side, though, it seems like humanity is wanting to lump all extraterrestrial contact into one being. That's like trying to categorize every human being into one being. We're not.
No. Here's one thing I want to say is like, look at how many species we have on this planet. I mean, there's your clue right there. We have hundreds of thousands of different species, ants and bugs and birds and animals, and there's same with the ETs. There's so many different species, but there's a lot in common that we do have. Everyone I have met has a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a body like us, but they look a little different.
Absolutely. And on that note, we are going to hop out for a break here at the bottom of the hour. Devara Thunderbeat is our guest tonight. Thunderbeat.com is her website. You're listening to Space Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R. to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up, enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you all with us. Tomorrow night on the show, it's the final Friday of the month, which means it's the SOR Roundtable. It'll be a lot of fun as we bring in a panel to talk about everything paranormal, supernatural for 3 hours tomorrow night. If you're following along on the SHR Media Network, thank you for tuning in the Spaced Out Radio chat room, on Spreaker as well, and on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you along for the ride. Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate you taking your time, which is valuable and important, to spend with us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website, which will have a new look for Monday. I thought it was going to be today, but there's still a little bit more work that Mrs. SOR has to put into it. So Monday, we are going to relaunch the new website. Tonight, we are talking with Devara Thunderbeat. Thunderbeat.com is her website. She is a musician. She is a Reiki master, ET contactee, First Nations legend extraordinaire. Thunderbeat, welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this. I do have a question for you. You mentioned in the first half hour about seeing extraterrestrials and ships in clouds. I don't know if you know Patrick Webster Small from the Webster Phenomena. We promote his show on the Spaced Out Radio website, and he's a good friend of this show. But he sees exactly what you see. When he looks up into the clouds, he is not seeing cloud cover. He is actually seeing formations of some sort of extraterrestrial dialect or space travel or something along those lines. For most of us, when we look up at the clouds, for most of us who look up at the clouds, we may see an elephant or a shark or, maybe something that looks like a face, but we're not seeing extraterrestrials.
Native American First Nations, we call them cloud people, and they are energies, and they are, communicating in some way. But the cloud ships, I call them cloud ships. They look like almost like flying saucers, but they're in a cloud, and some people say, oh, those are lenticular clouds. But if you go on NASA's site, spaceweather.com, and look at the pictures of lenticular clouds, they do not look anything as what we are talking about now, as like spaceships. None of them look like that. You'll see hundreds of pictures, and none of them. I brought my friends out here to Sedona, and I kept telling them about the cloud ships, and that's what I call them. And they said, well, show me one. I go, as soon as I see one. So I was taking them to the Hopi Reservation, and in Winslow, I said, there you go, there's one, and I know I can prove it to you because there's 3 black helicopters hovering on the side of it. They all freaked out. They got all nervous and in fear. Like I was saying before, people get in fear of what they don't know. And I said, wow, I think that's pretty cool. See, I'm just the opposite. I'm not into the fear thing, I mean, of course I get afraid. I call them they follow me around wanting to know what I know. I don't know who they are, but I call them the watchers, But those are the ones, and those are people. So those are the ones that put me in fear. People put me in fear more than the ETs.
I've heard a lot of multi-experiencers say that numerous times. And I know the way Patrick looks at things on the Webster phenomena. He posts literally photos every day of things that he sees up in the clouds. How do you define, if you're looking up from the ground, something that is extraterrestrial compared to something that is just nature causing cloud cover?
Usually for me, I can feel it. I can feel the difference. Totally feel the difference. It's like, it's a knowing. It's like, for instance, when I spoke at Dulce, 5 minutes before I spoke, there was 2 UFO cloud ships in the sky, and I actually have a guy that had this camera with him, and he took pictures of them. And somebody said, "Oh, those are lenticular clouds." I said, "No, they're not." And after I spoke, it was about an hour later, after I spoke, they chemtrailed a big X over those UFO cloud ships.
Weird.
There was no chemtrails anywhere else. Yeah, so
very weird indeed.
Just proved it to me, that they were trying to hide them. So
Eric in the SOR Space Travelers has a question for you, and he is asking, where does religion or deity fit in with extraterrestrials, to your knowledge?
Well, the extraterrestrials are beings. We're all one. First of all, in the universe, we are all one. We're all connected. That's why they're very concerned about Earth and not blowing itself up, because it would affect everyone. And they're very, very, I guess, spiritual. They don't really call it spiritual or religion. They're full of love. I mean, the energy and the when I was on the ships, and I've been on the ships many times, and on the planet they have these colors that come in. They're so soothing. It's just very colorful, and the energy is happy. It's very full of love, and we all laugh. I made them laugh when I first got to the planet. I go, "Oh my God, I can breathe here!" And they all started cracking up because because you're in a higher dimension and there's really no air there. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just a higher dimension, and you don't have to breathe there. It's a different way of formation.
Galen has a question for you, and she is asking, Devara, why were you picked by so many aliens to receive messages? Why do you think?
It's not what I think. It's I chose. People go, "Oh, why were you the chosen one?" I said, "No, it was I wasn't chosen. I chose to do this work. I chose before I came down here."
Claudia is asking, Devara, can you explain your definition of what a shaman is?
A shaman takes their life and dedicates their life to helping the world and the people and the planet.
A good friend of mine and my wife, Mrs. Spaced Out Radios, she is First Nations up here, and she's a shaman, and she actually trained my wife in a mixture of shamanism and Reiki as well, and I could not believe at how well that worked. I was never really a big believer in Reiki up until I had it performed on me when I was very, very sore from carrying so much stress. And it's amazing how that works now. It's to the point now where, I'm so in tune with my wife's Reiki abilities now that all she has to do is put her hands on an affected area, and it literally puts me to sleep within minutes. She just laughs about it now.
Yeah, Reiki is universal healing energy, and I utilize that with sound healing, and sound healing is very profound too, where it takes out the anxiety, stress, fear, pain. So when I do my healing sessions I call them the chakra sound healing sessions, I go through each of your chakras, clear out all the old stuff that does not serve you anymore, and balance your chakras and take away, like I said, all the fear, stress, old, negative programming. I mean, all kinds of things happen during that session, and most people usually cry during the session, and they go, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed, I cried." I think, "No, are you kidding? That is an honor. You're releasing old things. You're releasing old stuff that does not serve you anymore. It's great. I just love that." So,
Claudia has another question for you. She's saying, Devara, have you ever had scientific downloads from extraterrestrials, and as time goes by, realize the information you had been given by the ETs was told to you way before scientists even understood or proved it to be true?
Yes. A lot of times they'll download me information, but I won't only remember it for a short period of time. But it's very high intelligent knowledge that I don't even know here on the planet. It's like they talk, their words are like molecular structure is connected to the grid line, and sometimes I won't understand it, but I do get downloaded that information, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you believe there's a tie-in between the paranormal and extraterrestrial? This is a big debate that is going on right now between both fields as to whether or not there is a connection between the two. I tend to believe that there is from my own personal experiences. My experiences when they started in late 2011 started very paranormally and then seemed to shift almost on the fly between the paranormal and the extraterrestrial and ufological. Do you notice a similarity between the two or a conjoining of the two?
Absolutely. Since our level of people on the planet, their understanding does not know about other different dimensions and say what scientists would call, let's say, time travel, which is the ETs have told me they can see the past, present, and future all at once. And it's just normal. It's called their awareness. of that. So what we think is paranormal is normal to them, and it's dimensional. So it can switch back and forth of when we're in this lower frequency, it could switch, we could see different things like we don't normally see, and then we go back to our normal knowing, and so kind of works like that. So we're and then 2011 is when we were going into the galactic center of the sun, when everything was being lined up for the 2012. Everybody thinks it's ascension of higher frequencies. So everybody thinks it's when is that going to happen? It's been happening since 2010, actually, slowly going into a higher awareness. People have been waking up, in this higher frequency naturally. If we had it done like in an instant, we could not handle that frequency. So it's slowly happening. The frequencies are raising, and which means that our awareness is expanding.
We're going to go back to Claudia and the SOR Space Travelers because she is brilliant when she comes up with her questions, and she is firing on full cylinders tonight.
Oh, cool.
Devara, have you ever seen a portal, or have you seen a UFO or been in one?
Yes, I have. When they took me to Sirius on their ship, we went through a portal. It was white, and then it turned to pink, and it was, we kind of went left, right. That's the way I could explain it. And it seemed like about 5 minutes, and then we came out of the portal, and it hovered above Sirius A, which is a pure white planet, and hovered there for a while, and then this purple being came up to me. He had a triangle head, and he bounced around me. That's how he maneuvered. And I asked, what is he doing? And why I say he, I don't know. I felt it was a male, because there is still gender there. They were telling me it was the fifth, sixth dimension. And they said, he is looking for immoral implants before you go inside the planet. 'Cause they live inside the planet of Sirius. They don't live on the surface, and they had to remove any immoral negative implants, which that's what they meant, before I could go inside the planet. So that was very interesting to me when that happened.
Do you get taken often?
Only when I ask. So I have my free will, yeah.
Are they taking you spiritually or physically?
Pretty much out of my body, out-of-body experience. So, because you can't go there physically. It's a higher dimensional frequency.
This leads me to ask the next question, and that is, a lot of people out there, and we'll go back to the non-believers, or the skeptics, whatever you want to call them, they will say, how do you really know that you're visiting and you're not just in a dreamlike state, dreaming about it while you're catching your 40 winks over the night?
Because it's not while I'm sleeping. I'm wide awake. So I'm actually in two worlds at the same time. So I'm physically here, but I'm there at the same time, wide awake. And it's not through a meditation. It's while I'm wide awake.
So are you meditating to get to that state, or are you just saying, hey, boys and girls, time to come pick me up?
No, it's not a meditative state. It's pretty much asking, but it's like you're centering yourself and aligning all your chakras to get there, to be there. Otherwise, it would be pretty distorted.
You mentioned implants a few times on this show in regards to whether or not they are good or whether they are evasive or anything like that. Do you believe most contactees are implanted one way or the other?
I don't know. I never thought about that. I think if they have repeat encounters, they are implanted, because they have to track you down where you are. There's billions of people on this planet, and you could be anywhere. So if you have constant contact, I think that you have an implant.
How does one know if they've been implanted?
Usually I have them on, I know where they are in my body. I can feel them. They're like little round, like sometimes people would think, oh, that's a pimple, but it's not, and it heals and the bump is still there. That's how I know. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Bill Hauser is asking in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, what are your thoughts, if you know or have any, on Commander Hatton, who is said to be Pleiadian?
I'm not familiar with him at all, but he's a commander from where?
I have no idea. Bill comes up with some pretty deep questions, and I probably
Is he commander of the military on Earth, or is he a star commander?
We'll have to find out, as there is a little bit of a 30-second delay, so Bill will fill us in, and then I'll fill you in on that one.
But I am not familiar with him. I'm not familiar with him. So I don't know if I can answer any of his questions.
That's okay. Eric has a question in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. When it comes to activating our DNA, do you mean that what geneticists often refer to as junk genes, do they use electromagnetic resonances beyond the typical 20 to 30 hertz we humans can perceive?
For activating it? Okay, well, I have a 12 DNA activation CD, which has the hertz that activate your full 12 DNA, and it repairs your damaged DNA. And the junk DNA she's talking about is, scientists just don't know what that is. They think it's junk, which it's not true. That's your higher awareness. That's your higher awareness of being able to see through different dimensions, or just like your intuition, like, oh, I know this person's lying, or I know this for, it's a knowing, and that is your DNA. Most people only have 3 to 5 strands of DNA activated now on the planet, and most people, and then the indigo children, the rainbow children, those kind of people, they're coming in, they're having 5 to 7 DNA activated strands. But I have, like I said, I have a 12 DNA activation strand DNA that activates your 12 strands, but then I do a personal session, which is called the 22 DNA activations. Those are personal sessions, and those really get in deep, clearing out your old ancestral DNA that you carry around that people don't even realize. You're carrying around their karma, that you don't have to do that, and your ancestors actually get stuck in your DNA, and I clear all that out, and then I repair damaged DNA, which everyone has damaged DNA from pollution on the planet, from bad foods. And I do want to say that there's a lot of ETs, the higher frequency ETs, will not even come down here because this planet, they tell me that the planet is so polluted they won't even come near it. And we don't even realize how bad this place is. A lot of people don't even realize how polluted the planet is. But the 22 DNA is an ancient knowledge. It's in the Book of Enoch. It's in the ancient knowledge of the scriptures of Egypt, and I embed. It's not through frequencies. It is through frequencies, but not actual sound, hearing sound. It's called the 22 golden light codes that I embed in you that activate your DNA, the 22 strands. And that's and why 22? It's a master number, and it's as much as we can handle at this time anyway. You don't want any more than that. Then you'll be kind of like off planet all the time.
That seems a little intimidating. We have about 2 minutes before we got to go to break here. And when it comes to DNA activation, I don't think a lot of people are very familiar with it. What would be the Coles Notes answer on what DNA activation does for people?
Okay. It remembers why you're here, who you are. It actually helps you. It's hard to explain, but it brings out your creative process of why you're here, and you remember your past lives. You could connect with your guides a lot better, or your angels. Like I said, it brings forth so many different creative things that you have never even thought about. And you can almost like instantly go, oh my God, I could do this. I never knew I could like paint. I didn't know I could do that, or something, just for example. And like I said, that's pretty profound, just remembering who you are and why you're here,
Absolutely. And on that note, we are going to hop out for a break here at the top of the hour. Wow, 2 hours done already. 1 hour to go with Devara Thunderbeat. Her website is thunderbeat.com. What a great show so far. We're going to learn more about your questions that you have in the chat rooms following this, and we're going to find out more about what Native Americans from past to present think about star beings, Bigfoot, and other creatures around. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate that. We'll be right back after this.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back for the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, over on the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, and Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook, and our flagship SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you with us. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, we are doing the SOR Roundtable. We do it the final Friday of every month. We bring in a panel of guests. They come in cold on the topic, and we chat away for 3 hours, all on the paranormal and supernatural. That is tomorrow night on the show. Remember, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with Devara Thunderbeat. Thunderbeat.com is her website. We've been talking about ET abduction, a little bit of DNA activation, a lot with other sorts of topics that we are going to get into in this final hour, which I really appreciate Devara taking the time. I do have to comment on one question from Nick in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. And he is asking, and I'll answer this one, Devara. He is asking, what are E.T.'s opinion of Nickelback and their music? Let's just say if they heard Nickelback, there would be no Earth left. Let's just be honest about that. Okay, Nickelback.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad about the lyrics, some of their lyrics, you know, their energy.
Nobody deserves... See, here's the way us Canadians do this, okay? When George Bush was elected, Jr. was elected the first time, or Senior, we gave you Celine Dion. When you guys elected George Bush the first time around, we gave you Nickelback. The third time around, when he was re-elected again, we gave you Justin Bieber. That's Canadian hint right there. We're going to send you what we don't want here, because nobody has ever heard of the Tragically Hip unless you're Canadian, right? But we're going to send you our musical worst in order for you guys. Every time you elect a president, that's just, I mean, can you imagine what we're going to send you if Donald Trump gets elected? Or Hillary, for that case. One of the two. Either way, we're sending the next group down. That's just the way we do things here. Let's start off with some questions here. This one is from Claudia and the SOR Space Travelers. And she is asking, what do you think of time travel? Have you ever experienced time travel intentionally to view the past or future events?
Let's see, where do I begin on that one? Time travel is absolutely real. You can time travel past, present, and future. I actually met Al Belisk. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's an amazing man. Met him in the mid-'90s, and everyone thought he was crazy. He worked on the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project of time travel, and he went into the future. And for me, it happens for me if it does or when it does. It's like doesn't seem like anything has shifted. It seems so natural, is the point I'm saying. When you go into like the future or the past, it's like, but I've never been like dramatically like, 100 years ago or 100 years ahead. It's always like maybe a week or something, or a few days ahead or the past. And it's hard to tell about time when you time travel. For me, I'm going to just talk about what I've experienced. It seems like an instant. Like it doesn't seem like a long period of time, but when a person's here with me and I do that, they go, "Oh my God, you were gone for 45 minutes." And I'm like, "What?" It seems like a few minutes, I can actually tell you a really incredible, beautiful story. When I was in Egypt, in the middle pyramid is a Stargate. Everyone talks about the Great Pyramid all the time. Great Pyramid, Great Pyramid. But when you see pictures of the pyramid they show is always the middle pyramid, and the Sphinx is in front of the middle pyramid. It is not in front of the Great Pyramid. A lot of people do not know that unless they have visited Egypt. So the middle pyramid is a Stargate. So I finally got to go in there when I was there. I was there the first time for a month. And I went in there with this one girl, and I said, I want to do some toning, some sound healing toning in the middle pyramid. So we did together, and another voice came in, really high-pitched female voice, and the girl goes to me, she goes, "Is that you singing? And I said, "Oh, I thought that was you singing." So in the meantime, we're doing this toning, and we're there on horseback, and we have this guide holding the horses, and he said, "You can only be in there for like 15 minutes. We have to go back because it takes a long time to go back." Okay, I'm doing his accent. And I said, "No problem, we're only going to be in there for 15 minutes. So we're toning, and this Japanese group comes in the middle of our toning and taps, my eyes are closed, and he taps me on the shoulder, asking me if he could take a picture of us. So I said yes, but while I opened my eyes and said yes to him, he was going like 99 million miles an hour, like he was like a movie in fast speed, really fast. And I'm like, wow, that's strange. But I went back to the toning and into the realm I was in with this other girl and this other female voice that came in. And we finished, and we thought we were there for, I swear, how long can you tone, really? 10 minutes, So we go outside to go back on our horses, and the guy was screaming at us. He was screaming at us, going, you said you were going to only be 15 minutes. You've been in there for an hour and a half. So that is time travel. And I'm just saying one situation of my experience of time travel, and you don't know that you're in, it felt normal, is what I'm saying. And the girl I was with, she felt the same. She goes, "Oh my God, it seemed like 5 minutes." So you don't know, when you're in these other realms, you don't know that you're time traveling till someone kind of mentions it to you, Does that make any sense?
Lori has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. She is saying she has heard that certain groups have more strands of DNA than other groups have. Is this true or false in your estimation?
What groups are you talking about?
Well, I'm assuming different groups of people. Like maybe Caucasian to African American to First Nations to Chinese, different backgrounds.
Yeah, that could be very possible of their culture awareness, because when you're being grown up in a certain culture, this shuts down a lot of who you really are and why you're really here. So your DNA gets shut down too. Your chakras get shut down. Your chakras are connected to your DNA. So the one works together with the other, just like your whole body works together as one. And I can definitely, I don't know that for a fact, but I could definitely see that being true.
I have a question coming in from Joe in the SOR Space Travelers room on Facebook. Why do people that have extensive contact with extraterrestrials never seem to have any type of physical proof? I'm not saying bruises or scars, okay, but I'm saying physical proof that it happened.
Because it's usually a higher dimension, and Earth is in a very low frequency dimension. Physical. Everybody wants physical proof, and how do you prove something when in your higher dimensional that people are not even aware of?
So do you think then that you couldn't ask them for a piece of evidence, maybe a crystal that shows up on your dresser or something along those lines? I'll tell you what we have done, and we've done this with Joe, and a couple other people have done it as well, including Corey, my booking coordinator for this show. When they were curious about whether or not they were having contact, I told them actually to put coins on their nightstand or their dresser, someplace that they aren't going to get knocked around during the night. And I said, put them side by side or stack them, do what you want. And if they change in the morning, you'll know. Because the theory behind that is, if you get taken, you can tell them, look, just so I know I was taken last night, can you stack the coins? Or
there's your paranormal again, and so how it does connect together, the paranormal. If you know what I'm saying. Remember you asked that question earlier about the paranormal. So it all connects, yes. So that's, you could do that, absolutely. For that kind of proof.
So do you think then that that's only personal proof, though? It doesn't, I think what people are wanting, and it's a human aspect of things, is they are... I got it.
Something. My implants are physical proof. I've actually taken one out and have it in a jar or a little container. So I'm thinking, on top of my head, what's the best proof is my implants,
But I guess, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation here, it would be nice to get a selfie. Just to put it bluntly, it would be nice to get a selfie or a picture if they're taking you up there and like they've taken you up. If they're taking you, especially in a physical form, it would be nice to be able to stare out the window at the moon, at the dark side of the moon, or Mars or Jupiter or Saturn's rings and take a photo.
It would be nice. But you can't physically take anything when you're up in those higher realms. Physically, I could probably ask them to send me a photo and put it on my dresser. I've never thought to ask that.
It would make it interesting indeed. I got a question from Claudia here in the SOR Space Travelers. Because
hi, Claudia.
Like I said, she's on fire, and I love it when she is. She was gone for a couple weeks because she had to go take care of some family stuff, but she's back now in full force because she is very active when it comes to the nightly chats, and I absolutely love it when she is here because she is just one of the most brilliant minds out there in our listenership, even though our audience is extremely smart.
Thanks for being here, Claudia.
Claudia is asking, do you believe that we have genetic memory within our DNA, and that is why they chose generations that hold that memory of contact from previous lives?
Yes, absolutely. You have all your memory. It's just it's that we are on a very dense. People don't realize that Earth is a very lower frequency planet. We don't like to think that way, but we are. There's other planets that are such high frequency like Venus and the Sun are very, very high frequencies. But we hold all our cellular memory in our body, absolutely, and yes, absolutely.
All right. I would like to focus in for the next little bit here on your First Nations heritage, because I'm a firm believer, and I've argued this on this program with scientists, researchers, whoever it may be, especially on the topic of Bigfoot, and we're going to transition into the whole Bigfoot side of things. I think there's a real issue with what I like to call the Christian Caucasian scientific background of forgetting the history of what First Nations heritage legends and stories have told us about some of these creatures, whether it's star beings, whether it is Bigfoot. How do you break that mold and get people to listen in? Because what I have experienced personally, whether it's extraterrestrial or whether it is with Bigfoot, it seems to have fallen in the realms of what most First Nations people have experienced as well. And I'll tell you, I have no First Nations blood in me whatsoever. I come from a Ukrainian and Prussian background. Prussia isn't even a country anymore. So I'm wondering where it comes from, and the stories and legends that you heard growing up, are they still as true today?
Yes, since I'm going to call it, say the white man came over, they have their beliefs, and remember they called the Native Americans savages, and so they didn't want to believe anything, and they, they're looking at the Native American connected to the earth and the land, and working and not destroying Mother Earth, and thinking that, and then the white man thinking that's primitive, which is, they're totally more into the material world. So that was, so they like I said, they destroyed all them pretty much. They did, not all of them, but you know what I mean. I'm going to tell you that in the United States they killed 58 million Native Americans. 58 million. Okay? Wow. And yes, and people don't even realize it. They keep it hush, hush, hush. That was genocide. And so, and they wanted, and all that, they didn't listen to them. They thought that they were primitive and savages or whatever, and so they just came over and just put all their thoughts into Canada and all this Western civilization that we have now. So for anyone to start studying the ancient knowledge of the Native Americans, a lot of it has been destroyed, first of all, and the only thing, there's a lot of I know a lot of different tribes, and they don't even like to speak to white people because they're so worried about them destroying their knowledge. So, but they do pass it down. They don't write hardly. Sometimes they don't even write a lot of things down. Even to this day, they just pass it on as from word to word, mouth to mouth. So, there's stories.
No, I understand that, but when it comes to the creatures that we are talking about, were they talked about when you were growing up? Were they talked about frequently about star beings and about Bigfoot or other legendary creatures that roam the land?
Well, yeah, they talked about the Kachinas and the Hopi. They talk about because different tribes are focused on different things. Okay, the Hopi talk about Kachina. The Kachina is star beings, and there's hundreds of them. Hundreds of star beings that came down and taught them how to plant corn, how to, to be civilized or whatever, to about the star families and interdimensional contact. Each one has their own purpose. So that's the Kachinas, and that's with the Hopi. In Louisiana, where my mom's from, they talked about Bigfoot in the swamps down there. And it's funny that you say that because I know you're fascinated with that, the Bigfoot. See, I didn't live in Louisiana. I visited there a few times, and they told me some legends. Oh, yeah, they live in the swamps. They come out over here. And we just, my cousins would say, it's just normal. You see them, you kind of, wave at them. You don't bother them, you just let them have their own space kind of thing. But what's interesting story is a friend of mine I didn't meet till I moved to Sedona, and he's from Louisiana, and he has a major connection with Bigfoot. He was I was actually playing in a band with him. He's a guitar player, and he became my roommate for about 6 months. And while we're hanging out outside talking about the stars, he noticed that that Bigfoot was here. I said, "What?" They talk about in Sedona a Bigfoot in it's called Sycamore Canyon, but it doesn't usually go outside of Sycamore Canyon. That is about 30 miles from me. But he was telling me, listen, they're talking, and they would tap on the trees. And we heard this, and I heard it for 3 nights in a row. They were communicating between tapping with the bark on the trees for 3 nights. And the 4th or 5th night, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning outside, and I'm looking, and I see next to me was vacant land. And I saw this dome of light, and I'm like, where is that? It looked like a tent lit up inside. That's the best way I can describe it. And I go, there's no tent there. And it was all lit up like this bright light, but it was just dome-like. And I saw a Bigfoot inside. And I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, bam, it was gone. It was blacked out. And the next day I looked, I couldn't see anything after that. It was very dark. And the next day, I think there was nothing there. I mean, there was no, we went over to the land, and there was no remnants of anything. And we didn't hear any communications on the trees that they talk about with Bigfoot tapping. They use sticks to communicate, and we could hear that for 3 days. Boom, 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 and then way over to the right of my house, boom, 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 and then after I saw that light disappear that night, didn't hear him after that. So that was my only experience with Bigfoot.
When you go into the legends that your family has taught you about Bigfoot or the Star People, let's focus on Bigfoot here for a moment. You believe they are an interdimensional being, which would mean that they possibly are not from this planet. What leads you to believe that they are interdimensional?
Because they can disappear in any moment. They can maybe just shapeshift. They could be from underneath the earth. They could live underground. Or I've I don't know. I don't have that much experience with them, but I always keep getting that psychically that they live underground. They're inner earth, and that they're Chewbacca's. They're like Chewbacca from Star Wars, But I mean, but the inner Earth people do have spaceships.
So do you believe that Bigfoot came from an extraterrestrial background, or is just a being on this planet that has interdimensional ability?
It could be both. I mean, I don't know the history on that. I can't tell you that. But They could be just visiting, or, they could be living underground and have interdimensional capabilities, which I know that I really feel that definitely very strong. They can travel anywhere they want, So.
And this is the reason why I ask. We have had people who've done ET investigation, and they have talked to people who have seen Bigfoot on spaceships. When I had my Bigfoot experience, a few days later, we felt that we were being followed, and this was right by a friend's house, and there was a forest surrounding their property, and we felt like we were being followed. When we turned to look behind us, we actually saw almost like a television-like pixelation by their old cherry tree that stood about 8 to 10 feet high. There were 4 of us. 2 of us saw it. And when we continued walking to the front of the house after seeing this pixelation, within 20-30 seconds, that's when we heard the roar of the creature. That's what led me to believe, in talking to First Nations friends, that it was a Bigfoot in that pixelation, because they are able to travel interdimensionally. I believe that Bigfoot will only allow you to see it when it wants to be seen, when it gives you permission. And it really solidified my belief on that. And when you hear the stories of Bigfoot being on ships during abductions, it makes you wonder if it's truly a creature from here, rather than being considered what the scientific community wants to prove, Nephilim, Gigantopithecus, missing link to mankind. So what is your opinion on that?
Like I said, from my experience, they were definitely interdimensional, because I saw them in a dome of light, and they were inside that dome of light, and then boom, it disappeared. That it could be like the inner Earth. If you do some research on Agartha and Shambhala, inner Earth, there's many creatures down in the inner Earth. I mean, even Time Life books have written about this information, that they have many different creatures in the inner Earth, and there's beings there. They're higher technology, let's say, that they have ships, and they do travel to other star systems or other planets with their ships from the inner Earth. So I'm really picking up psychically that they live in the inner Earth, but they can travel to other planets. So it's both. But they, like I didn't make the joke, there's Chewbacca. You remember Star Wars is Chewbacca, and that's probably like that where they got the idea for Bigfoot, He can travel. I mean, a lot of those science fiction, they can't just make this stuff up when they do science fiction. I know they put a lot of negative fear stuff there, but there's a lot of truth in there, too, in a lot of the sci-fi movies,
On that note, we are going to take our final break of the night. Devara Thunderbeat is our guest tonight. Her website is thunderbeat.com. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back after our final break.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from the Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. And thank you so much for being on Space Out Radio tonight, listening in, tuning in from wherever you are, from around North America to Europe and into Asia and the Australasia continent. Appreciate you joining us on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for tuning in if you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, over on Spaced Out Radio's chat room on Spreaker, as well as Facebook, with Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, and Forest Moon Paranormal, along with all of our fans listening in on the SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you with us in regards to tonight's show. Tomorrow night we will be having the Paranormal Roundtable. Our usual suspects will be here as we debate, discuss, and entertain for 3 hours of relaxation and paranormal talk. We do it the final Friday of every month. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. Subscribe to that to hear our archives. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, for the final time, Devara Thunderbeat will join us. Her website, thunderbeat.com. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on with us for the full show tonight, Devara. Appreciate you taking important time out of your evening to spend it with us.
Oh, thank you, David. Love, and I appreciate what you're doing for the planet.
Well, you know what? We try and have a good time. We try and make things happen. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we just go with the flow and have a good old Canadian time here, even though most of our listeners are in the United States. So go figure there.
Huh. I do want to answer a question that no one's asked. Because they kind of asked, but about the free will zone and the higher dimensional, benevolent, loving ETs will not interfere because of the free will zone. And there's other solar systems that don't have free will zone, which they're very torturous there. It's very brutal. But the point I want to make is they do and will interfere on Mother Earth if they think that we're going to blow up the planet. Like, for instance, all the nuclear bases and all the nuclear structures that we have here on the planet, they put golden light white domes over them so we don't blow ourselves up. They want to make sure that is one thing that they will interfere. They said because it will affect the whole solar system and galaxy. So I do want to tell you that's the only time they really interfere is during war and making sure that people don't get blowing up the planet and things like that. So
absolutely. A lot of people have also asked about alien ET Greys. A lot of people believe that they are of artificial intelligence, and that's the reason why they try to take human DNA for cloning purposes, because they cannot reproduce themselves. But there are others who believe that there are many different species of what we call the prototypical gray. What is your opinion on that?
Okay, well, I met the Greys. I did meet the Greys on planet Earth. I'll tell you a funny story because I think it was kind of funny, where the first time I was in the Mayan lands, and I've been wanting to go there for almost a decade or whatever, close to that. And I went there March 21st, which they have the spring equinox festival, and they don't allow anybody to walk on top of the pyramids at that time. And I said, oh, my God, I came all this way, and I can't even touch or go into the pyramid? You crazy? So I snuck in there while there's 5,000 people there. I know it sounds unbelievable, but I said to my girlfriend, I said, watch my back. I'm going to sneak through that doorway and go in there. And I told her to watch my back. And she said I turned invisible while I was walking in there because I wanted to go there so bad inside. And when I got in there, I couldn't see a thing. It was pitch black. So I used my third eye, which you can train to do for yourself. It's called remote viewing. And I found the stairway, so I started going up the stairway with my third eye, and 6 Greys ran down the stairway and said to me without words, with this mental telepathy, and said, you can't be in here. You gotta go. And they were very emotional, but they were very robotic at the same time. They were they seemed more in fear of me than I was of them. And they were going, no, you can't be in here. No. And they were rocking back and forth like very robotic. And I said, and one of them was pink, and there 5 of them were gray, and the pink one was hiding behind the gray one. And I just backed out and said, okay, no problem, I'm leaving. And that was my experience, the only experience I had with Greys. Now, they seem very robotic and totally AI, like you said, artificial intelligence, and they were totally programmed, what they had to do. And, that's the best, only experience that I've had with them, so.
Do you believe, though, that they are a danger when they are in the artificial intelligence stage?
Absolutely. Because they could be programmed to do anything. Who knows? I mean, it's a program. It's not natural.
How does one tell the difference then between a good gray and a bad gray?
I haven't like that. It was the only time I met a gray, so I don't know if they're all like that or. But they have told me that when I was on the planet in the ships that they say the pink ones, they come down here and they're not artificial intelligence, and maybe that's why that one pink one was like hiding behind the other grays. I don't know, but I'm just assuming, so I don't know for a fact, but that they turn gray because of so much pollution down here. So that could be the good ones. I don't know. It's best for all of us to expand our awareness to really know the truth. I mean, go with your inner feelings. What you think. Negative and positive. That's basically what I do. But I have trained myself, or I do also another thing I do is negative entity clearing, actually demonic clearing, and I became very powerful because I've had people, attacking me, and I learned from a major shaman, incredible man, how to release the dark negative entities and energies from a person. I can do that long distance because it happened to me. And I said, I need to know how to do this work. That's part of a shamanic, being. And then once you learn that work and go into that realm of understanding completely, then you can see a lot clearer the dark energies and the dark and knowing what's good and bad. And that's to answer your question.
I have a question coming from Nick in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and he is asking, you keep talking about inner Earth. Can you please clarify where exactly in cave systems, in the Earth's crust, or deeper in the mantle and beyond, are you aware of the composition of Earth's core?
Well, there's definitely different, many portals to go inside the inner Earth. They talk about the Arctic and the Antarctic are two major ones, but there are many more than that to go inside the inner Earth. And the inner Earth is like more like a comb, caverns and different. It's not like just rounded out and there's the inner Earth. There's different caverns and like catacombs. That's the word I'm trying to find. Catacomb situations. But to go to the cities, they have cities down there that you'd have to go probably 6 to 8 miles just to get to them.
Mm-hmm. So it's not too far down. And when you look at Dulce, where there has been reports of underground alien bases or even underground water bases along the California coast, we do have to believe that they are being able to camouflage themselves on our own plains and our own planet here.
Yeah, they have, even here in Sedona, they have certain areas you can stand on certain mountains and see fake mountains, covered up, fake areas where they cover up the, underground bases.
Mm-hmm. What do you think a person's best defense against alien abduction would be?
That's a very good question. Basic defense. Okay, I've never heard it said that way. How to protect yourself from not being negative I mean, some people want positive contact. Some people go, a lot of my friends go, how come you see so many ships and how come you got so many contact? I want to have contact, you know. But if people are in fear of that, just keep a golden light around you, and if they're negative, they can't get through that. They can't get through the golden light.
Do you believe then that, for the most part, people are safe and have nothing to worry about? Or do you believe that there's too much fear-mongering out there right now to get a civilized answer to that question?
Yeah, I think there's more fear on the planet than positive, and that's creating a lower vibration to, and becoming, when you create your own lower vibration, you become very vulnerable to those energies. So. And it's not necessarily like, you think love and light and you don't think like, oh, there's nothing negative out there. That doesn't help you either. That doesn't fully protect you either. But the golden light works the strongest, and love and golden light. And you can always say love and light, but light, if you white light, they can come through the white light. Anything can go through white light, dark light, anything. But the golden light is very, very powerful.
Do you think then that for most people who say are not in contact with their own spirituality are going to have a rougher time with that rather than those who've been able to open up?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they don't believe in any of that, and they're stuck in the old program or the lower frequency dark program or whatever, the program that's happening now, the lower realm program, I call it. Yeah, of course they're going to have a hard time because they're stuck in this mindset.
Claudia has a question in the SOR Space Travelers.
Hi, Claudia.
She is asking, how do ETs travel? Do they use visualization to guide their ships like the power of thought is? How they travel faster than the speed of light? Then have I'm sorry, sometimes my eyes just don't work properly. Let me re-ask this. Claudia is asking, how do the ETs travel? Do they use visualization to guide their ships like the power of thought is how they travel faster than the speed of light? They have a thought and then they're there?
Well, it depends on the ET, how they can travel in many different ways. So the ETs I have in presence of are, a lot of thought guides their ship, and then there are certain portals. They're just not just anywhere. There's certain like a grid portals that they ride on through the universe or through space. I hope that answers your question. So, but it's like see the new cars are like, you can tell it what to do and things like that. That's coming to what really is going on. Yes, a mind thought. They can just direct their ship, in that way. It's very cool.
So when you have someone speaking in front of you and you're learning about the experiences or helping someone with their experiences and they're not quite understanding, because let's face it, during a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year society as we have become, especially over the last decade and a half, people really don't have time to slow down and think about what's truly going on because it's go, 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 go. When you are dealing with people who all of a sudden get thrown for a loop with those experiences that they are having, positive or negative, how do you deal with helping them?
You simplify, I call it simplify as much as possible, and to explain to them what's going on. And 100% of the time they understand. So when they explain me, their situation, I explain it as simple as possible.
So take me through that scenario and how you would explain it as simply as possible, because for a lot of people, I guess their first point is they're actually kind of clueless about what is going on. All they know is something happened, it didn't seem right, it seems unbelievable, and they're probably afraid to bring up in full detail what they know.
Usually they're very comfortable around me, and they explain, and if they can't explain, as much as I need, then I'd help them explain. I ask them questions. So then usually people are very comfortable around me, so I can explain. It all depends on their question, how I can explain it to them.
Okay, so let's play a little game here. Let's say it's me, and I come up to you, and I'm like, Devara, I think I got taken last night. My legs hurt. My neck is hurting. The back of my head hurts. I've got bruises on my wrists. And I thought I was dreaming, but I remember seeing big black eyes around me. I'm not sure what's going on, and I'm a little freaked out.
Okay. I've never had that one before, but usually you wouldn't have bruises. I mean, has this happened to you?
No, but I do know a former guest on this show, Byron Lacey. He often will post pictures of his bruises. I've had other ET contactees and abductees come on this show and mention that they were left with bruises.
Okay, well, that is the best thing I would suggest for them is to have a hypnosis session with a person that is qualified in that field. That is like the best way. Barbara Lamb is really good at that. She's national and international. She does regressions, and she's a very positive person. There's other ones I know that are kind of like not as positive, but she's very good at that. And then when you go through the hypnosis regression of finding out really what happened, you see it so clearly. And she records your session for you, and and then if this keeps happening, you can demand and command them not to touch you again. You have to stand in your power. If you just like go, okay, if it happens again, you can't be nonchalant about this. You got to be. This is like a shaman work knowledge that you have to stand in your power and command and demand and say, do not ever touch me again. And usually that works. I mean, it sounds simple, but the answers are simple.
Do you think we overestimate their power and ability over us?
Probably so. I mean, because you're not familiar, people are not familiar with what's going on, so they're confused in the first place. So, absolutely. I mean, you can stand in your own power and just say, no.
I have a couple questions I want to get to from our audience before we're going to have to call it the night here, as we only got about 5 minutes left in the show. We're going to start with Nick.
God, how fast that went.
I know. It's amazing. And here before the show, you were all worried that, geez, I don't know how we're going to fill 3 hours.
I wasn't worried. I was just going, I don't know.
I know.
I know. I didn't realize.
Nick is asking in the Spaced Out Radio chat room, what do you think the ETs have done to benefit us humans, and what have they done that has negatively affected us, in your opinion?
Well, it depends on the ET, first of all. And there's thousands of situations where they've interacted and thinking they were helping. I'm going to say it honestly, and it didn't. So they have stepped back a lot of trying to help. but they do help the ones that, if you ask, they can hear you. If you ask, you shall receive. I don't want to get religious, but Jesus said the same thing. Jesus was an E.T. I'm sorry to tell you that, but he was an E.T. We're all part of the big plan. And so basically, I don't know if that answers his question, but I know there was a two-part question there.
Well, the second part is, what have they done that has negatively affected us?
Depending on the negative ETs, is controlling, stopping our freedom.
And hopefully that doesn't happen too long. Claudia will get the final question in of the night. And Claudia is asking, when you use your imagination and you travel with your eyes closed, is that a way of lifting the veil so you can see and travel? Are you really there then?
The word is trust. Traveling, when I travel, it's basically when I'm with my star family, they come to me first, and then, we go. So we travel, so my eyes are wide open and I see everything. I mean, I see inside the ship. They've showed me, visuals of the planet. They've showed me what's going on Earth. They've showed me, what it's like inside their planet and how beautiful it is. And everything is really simple. There's no clutter like we have here on Earth. Everything is just very clean and simple. So basically, to answer her question, I don't sit here and go, okay, I'm going to travel tonight. I don't do that. It just happens naturally, more natural than that. I hope that answers her question.
On that note, we have about 1 minute left. I would love it if you could tell people about your website, where they can find out more about the DNA activation and how to get in touch with you.
You can just click on thunderbeat.com, go to 22 DNA activations. It's going to give a ton of information about it. I do it through Skype. I can do it anywhere in the world. I haven't done it off planet. I'm making a joke, but I haven't. But anywhere, and sessions are about an hour long, and I record your sessions, and your guides come in. Every session is totally different, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. Everyone's unique in their own way. So your guides come in, your angels come in, galactic beings come in. Who knows? I can tell you some incredible stories of people that I've had from the Bible come to me. And anyway, then there's the chakra sessions, and then my music is very activational and healing. My Chakra Journey CD will help activate and clear out your chakras and activate your diamond rainbow body, which is the next step for ascension.
Devara Thunderbeat, thank you so much for being with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Really appreciate you taking the time to do the full show tonight, and thank you so much for your time, because time is valuable, and for you to give us 3 hours, it's very impressive. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, and let me do my work. So thank you.
Take care.
Keep up the good work, Dave.
Will do. Devara Thunderbeat. Thunderbeat.com is her website as we start to rock it on out with Mr. Bumblefoot coming on in here, taking us home as he does every night on the show. Bumblefoot. Click on his banner on the Spaced Out Radio website. Find out more about Little Brother is Watching. I want to thank once again Devara Thunderbeat for joining us for the full show tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Amazing answers, amazing questions from you in the Spaced Out Radio audience. And that's what we do here. We search for answers. And we got some tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, we're going to gather the usual suspects to come around the microphone, hang out, be a part of the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. That starts at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, tomorrow night. Then I will pack my bags and I will disappear for the weekend, as I do every weekend, to find my Zen, my Chi in the mountains of British Columbia, while Uncle Jimbo James Tyson takes over Spaced Out Weekend to get things going for Saturday and Sunday. Reminder to you, we will never play Nickelback on this show. That's a good thing. Tell your friends about that. They'll be interested to know that. And you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. I'm your host, Dave Scott. I will talk to you in exactly 21 hours from now. And on Monday, we should have our new look website fired up, where you can officially join the SOR Space Travelers. We look forward to kicking off our wonderful group with our wonderful fans. Thanks for tuning in on all the networks following us and all the chat rooms. Mr. Bumblefoot's going to take us home now, because that's what he does every night. Good night.
1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching.